55 pounds, and will be vacating the featherweight title. So the way that this works is, as soon as the first punch is thrown in this fight, the title is vacated. And we will announce what Topuria's next fight will be when we get it done.
Lo que hemos podido ver es primero que Makhachev no se abre del todo a pelear contigo, quizás porque tenga algún tipo de...
¿Tiene miedo? Claro que tiene miedo, por supuesto. Es como... Siempre es una pelea fácil.
Now, the reality is, Islam's not scared. He's not scared of anybody. Of course he's not. The man is a phenomenal champion, a ridiculous fighter, a historic, legendary fighter, defended the belt 4 times, more than anybody in history.
The biggest news has come out. UFC President Dana White shocked the world when he just revealed that Ilia Topuria is ship and will be moving up to lightweight to call out Islam Makhachev.
I hope Ilia goes up to 55. I don't care if he only defended the title 1 time.
Henry, I have to agree with Joe Rogan. If he wants to move up, 100% I support it. Now, does he defeat someone like Islam Makhachev? Because people aren't paying attention of what Ilia Topuria is doing. He wants to be on that top spot, pound for pound. I think he's on top 3 right now, 100%. He knows this is his path to get there. Why not take off the pound for pound? So I support it. Let him try. And I'm having a joy watching Islam defend this title. Of course, make that cheddar.
At UFC 308, Topuria became the first fighter to have knocked Holloway out. This win made him confident enough to go on and challenge Makhachev. But welcome Topuria? Ilia Topuria is a talented fighter, but beating someone like Islam Makhachev is a whole different challenge. Islam's grappling, control, and overall fight IQ are on another level.
Of course, Ilia fight Islam Makhachev. Do I believe Ilia could beat Islam? No. But if you ain't trying, the key is actually trying to attempt it. And if Ilya's able to go up a weight class, beat the pound for pound, then he automatically becomes the pound for pound.
Well, you just said Islam will beat him. I would lean towards that too, but he's definitely gonna lose that fight. I can't say that because of the way he shocked us twice.
Meanwhile, adding further anticipation to this controversial match, even Khabib Nurmagomedov isn't letting Ilia Topuria jump the line that easily. The UFC legend believes Topuria must first defeat a top lightweight like Charles Oliveira or Dustin Poirier before even considering a fight with Islam Makhachev. First fight with other fighters in the same division, then come towards Islam. Khabib also added, okay, we can make the fight, but it's not fair to Islam to have to fight smaller guys because he doesn't benefit from it. Ilia Topuria should be bigger enough.
If I could pick Ilia versus Islam, I would pick that. That would be such a sick fucking fight. I want to see that one.
Dude, anyone who sits there in the pocket and trades with Ilia, though, he's going to end up fucking flooring him. I feel like Diego Lopes would try to sit in there with him a bit.
What was Ilia's reach? Was it the same as Max?
Yep.
Dude, anytime those short guys have just as long a reach, it's a tricky style. Short but long reach.
Fucking Max, though, dude. Coming off UFC 300, just the fucking BMF. The man knocking out Justin Gaethje flat.
Ilia's got explosive power, and anyone who trades in the pocket with him is getting floored. But Islam's elite wrestling and control make him a different beast. Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev just turned personal. Islam made it clear that Topuria's behavior could lead to serious consequences, while Ilia responded by demanding they handle it like true fighters inside the octagon.
Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev, it felt personal and like these guys might like a real big. Islam says if Topuria keeps acting like that, it may finish badly for him. Something might happen. Ilia then responds, let's leave the kids out of it and settle it like adults inside the octagon in 2025.
To the surprise of many fans, Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria share some unexpected similarities. Both are dominant, well-rounded fighters with strong grappling and striking abilities. While Islam is known for his elite wrestling and suffocating top control, Topuria also has high-level grappling with vicious ground and pound, but also they have much more.
Topuria is Georgian, and if you look at a map, where he's at in Georgia is literally right next to where Islam and those guys are from.
So it's close to Dagestan. I didn't know that.
Right next to
That's kind of why I got friends like you who are like really smart. That's one thing you don't get credit for. Like, you know a lot of random shit.
The world of mixed martial arts was already dreaming of a fight between the two, and the timeline coincided with UFC 317 during the International Fight Week. While the Dagestani champion initially refused to take up the fight against Topuria, the pressure that the fight fans put on him made him agree to it, and Team Khabib was of a similar mind. On 20 February 2025, the AKA head coach Javier Mendez made an appearance on Submission Radio. Therein, the host, Denis Shkuratov, asked if IFW was the time time for the Dagestani champ to prepare for Topuria. Well, Team Khabib wasn't one to back down from the challenge. He replied, "All Islam needs is 2 months to prepare for anybody. He's not gonna care who he fights. You know, you make 155, you know, we all have the same attitude. We fight, you pay us. This is who you're offering." He's not gonna say no. If that's who they offer, that's who is being worked out, is on the table for Islam. That's what Islam is going to do. That's just the way he is. He's a true warrior. He's not somebody that's gonna say, no, 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 give me somebody else. No, he's gonna fight. Islam Makhachev doesn't want to give Ilia Topuria a chance at the lightweight title. Not too long ago, during his interview, Makhachev pushed Ilia Topuria to prove himself in the lightweight division first. He said, "I'm not going to give him a shot right away because he hasn't done all the work he was supposed to in his weight class. There are still contenders he needs to beat, but he doesn't want to cut weight anymore. Let him move up and earn his shot and will definitely fight." Well, that's the way things were with Islam Makhachev. He didn't care who his opponent was. All he did was secure the win. We've already seen that at UFC 311 after Renato Moicano jumped in on 2 days' notice to fight Makhachev. The champ didn't only fight, but he also claimed the win with a phenomenal Darkseid choke, and securing a win over Topuria with 2 months to prepare didn't seem impossible at all. Moreover, Michael Bisping, renowned English former mixed martial artist, believes that this fight has no real chance of happening because Islam Makhachev is not interested at all. However, Bisping noted that if enough pressure is put on Islam, whether from fans, the UFC, or Topuria himself, he might start considering it.
Going around and he's talking a little bit about Islam Makhachev and Dagestani fighters in general. He says that Dagestani fighters don't have anything special. They haven't got great cardio or stamina. They don't hit particularly hard or anything like that. And listen, if he was Islam Makhachev, he'd run off to the welterweight division.
The only thing I need, it's one punch, and you know for sure that I'm gonna connect that one punch.
He says that Islam Makhachev is doing anything he can to avoid a fight with Ilia Topuria.
Islam Makhachev seems dead set on an eventual move up to compete at welterweight, but he says he will need to consult with his teammate Belal Muhammad, who currently holds UFC's 170-pound title.
Ilia Topuria wants to fight Islam Makhachev. That is clear, okay? Will Islam take it? Well, I can't see why Islam wouldn't take it. Will Ilia take it? Well, of course, the reason why he wouldn't take it is because he's already done that twice. He's fought Alexander Volkanovski, offered him the opportunity to become a double champ 2 times in a row. So now he's like, hold on a minute, I'm not just risking this for nothing, because anytime you fight a smaller guy, right, it's always a risk. It's always a risk. That's why you don't get guys walking around, big guys, calling out smaller guys.
Ilia Topuria believes Islam Makhachev is scared of him, but the reality is completely different. Islam isn't avoiding Topuria. He's simply focused on bigger challenges and a potential move to welterweight.
Now, the reality is, Islam's not scared. He's not scared of anybody. Of course he's not. The man is a phenomenal champion, a ridiculous fighter, a historic, legendary fighter, defended the belt 4 times, more than anybody in history, and he's got a complete skill set. But if you ask Ilia Topuria, Islam, or anybody from Dagestan, they're nothing special. They don't have special stamina or cardio. The way they do it, if you fight any of them, the thing that they need when they go inside the octagon is the first contact.
Michael Bisping believes that Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria could happen because Belal Muhammad won't fight Islam, and the reason for that comes down to Khabib Nurmagomedov's influence. He also added more anticipation by taking in Belal Muhammad.
I think we are going to see this because Belal Muhammad won't fight Islam, and I think the main reason is because Khabib Nurmagomedov probably wouldn't allow it. Khabib is very controlling of who he allows into his gym. I've heard stories and I've seen clips where he can't believe it. If somebody steps in, if they come onto the mats, if they share training tips and techniques and just a methodology on how they prepare for a fight, then of course then they become brothers and you can't allow anyone in.
Belal Muhammad brought a guest that wasn't cleared by Khabib, and then Khabib was not happy about that.
But if you ask Ilia Topuria, he'll tell you that fighters from Dagestan aren't special. According to him, their stamina and cardio aren't superhuman, it's all about their approach. For now, the undisputed lightweight champion is planning to do something that Khabib Nurmagomedov has never done, and that's to claim the title of a double champion. With his aim set for the welterweight championship title, he wasn't going to give Topuria a chance. Even the Eagle was of a similar mind. He previously pointed out that Makhachev had already given chances to Alexander Volkanovski, and we all know how those fights turned out.
He was serious about it.
No outsiders allowed, okay? That's kind of the mindset from Khabib.
We don't serve their kind here.
What?
And I don't think he would allow Islam or Bilal to face one another anyway. So the theory of Islam stepping up to 170, there's a big problem with that because of Khabib, because they've trained together, because they've shared the mat and prepared for fights together.
Nurmagomedov seemed to believe that Makhachev had the potential to repeat the same thing against El Matador. On top of that, Rizvan Magomedov dropped in Topuria versus Dustin Poirier or Charles Oliveira as a better option for the UFC. According to him, the world needed a fight that made sense. Makhachev didn't need to fight another small featherweight. Coach Javier Mendez explains Islam Makhachev is a true warrior and true champion, and he wouldn't say no to the UFC if Ilia Topuria is the next person they put in front of him. He's not gonna say no to Ilia. If that's who they offer, if that's who's on the table for Islam, that's what Islam's gonna do. That's just the way he is. He's a true warrior. We're the champion. We're #1 for a reason. We're not supposed to reject any person they throw in front of you. Islam Makhachev's coach, Javier Mendez, recently addressed Ilia Topuria vacating the featherweight title to move up to lightweight and shared his thoughts on El Matador potentially fighting for the 155-pound title next. Mendez also shared his 2 cents on Topuria's chances against Dustin Poirier in a possible clash. In a bombshell social media announcement earlier this week, Dana White revealed that Topuria will be competing at lightweight next, with Alexander Volkanovski fighting Diego Lopes for the vacant featherweight title.
Because for Islam Makhachev, yes, whilst it would be beating a smaller guy, Ilia Topuria is undefeated, and Ilia Topuria does have a certain aura about him. Now remember, him and his brother, they started training Greco-Roman wrestling at about 6 years old. Ilia's 16-0, 6 knockouts, 8 submissions, and the man just oozes confidence. He has that aura that I said, he has the charisma, he has the style. A lot of people say that he was knocking off and copying Conor McGregor. I don't see that at all. All right, there is some similarities with the tattoos.
Given that Topuria has been calling out Makhachev for several months, many believe a Makhachev-Topuria fight is inevitably up next on both their schedules. In a recent interview with Submission Radio, Mendez addressed concerns over Topuria cutting the line for a title shot and said, well, you know, of course he's cutting the line, but hey, if the fans, if that's what they want to see and that's what the UFC wants to see, then that's basically, he is cutting the line, but it's not a true sport. If more eyeballs are going to pay attention to Topuria, then obviously that's what the UFC is going to want. When asked if Topuria stood a chance against Poirier in a potential title eliminator, Mendez replied, yeah, I definitely do. I've said it on many occasions. I think he has the best boxing in the whole UFC across all the weight divisions. He's got great wrestling. He's mentally strong. He's undefeated. I favor him slightly, but I favor him. Islam Makhachev's manager wants Ilia Topuria to fight in a lightweight title eliminator. Islam Makhachev's manager, Rizvan Magomedov, recently shared his take on Ilia Topuria potentially challenging his client for the 155-pound belt and called for the Georgian-Spanish fighter to face Charles Oliveira or Dustin Poirier first. In an ex-post, Magomedov dismissed Topuria as another small featherweight and recalled Makhachev fighting Alexander Volkanovski twice. He wrote, Topuria versus Dustin Charles contender fight to prove he's legit lightweight, so we don't have to defeat another small featherweight. We need a big fight that makes sense for everyone. We already gave chances to the featherweight champ that was reigning for a long time. Over the last few years, UFC lightweight king Islam Makhachev has put together a resume worthy of a spot in the UFC Hall of Fame. He has posted a 16-1 record inside the octagon and scored wins over greats of his era like Charles Oliveira, Alexander Volkanovski twice, and Dustin Poirier. However, his success has also created a problem where there are few clear-cut options for his next fight. Arman Tsarukyan should be next in line. However, after having to pull out of UFC 311 at the last minute, he will be forced to re-earn his title opportunity. That is why there have been rumors about a clash with featherweight king Ilia Topuria. Fuel was added to that speculation fire on Wednesday when UFC boss Dana White revealed the Spaniard is vacating the title and Volkanovski will face Diego Lopes for the belt at UFC 314. Following that massive news, longtime MMA reporter Ariel Helwani revealed what he is hearing about when a Makhachev versus Topuria fight will happen. Helwani wrote on X Wednesday night, "The plan is for Ilia Topuria to fight Islam Makhachev later this year, I'm told, perhaps as soon as International Fight Week. IFW 2025 will go down at the end of June and will culminate with UFC 317 inside T-Mobile Arena. The company often likes to have major fights headline a pay-per-view card during IFW. There are few bigger than a clash between two of the 5 best fighters on the planet today. Khabib Nurmagomedov does not want to see Islam Makhachev become a 2-division champion at Belal Muhammad's expense. Makhachev has desires to win UFC gold in different weight classes, but doing so now would put Nurmagomedov's 2 friends against each other. Makhachev's planned welterweight campaign predates Muhammad's 170-pound title win over Leon Edwards. The subject of Makhachev versus Muhammad came up when Nurmagomedov caught up with fellow former UFC champions Henry Cejudo and Kamaru Usman. Nurmagomedov stated, "My heart not okay. It's going to be hard to prepare Islam to beat Belal. He's very close to me. For me, it's going to be hard to prepare somebody to beat Belal." Nurmagomedov assesses that Makhachev would need to finish Muhammad, a potentially undesirable outcome when watching 2 friends fight. Nurmagomedov said, "If you want to beat Belal, I think you have to stop him. Without stopping, what are you gonna do? Okay, if you take him down, it's very hard to control him for 25 minutes, first of all. Second, it's very hard to dominate with him in a striking game all 25 minutes because he mixes it up. He doesn't stay with you all 25 minutes. He wrestled and struck, wrestled and struck. He's good." A potential fight between the lightweight and welterweight champions isn't on the UFC's immediate radar. Makhachev defends the UFC lightweight championship against Arman Tsarukyan at UFC 311 on January. Muhammad is expected to make his first title defense against top contender Shavkat Rakhmonov after the fight was previously booked before Muhammad was forced to withdraw with a toe infection.
You think this dude is vacating his title and all the perks that come with that to fight a #1 contender fight? There is no chance.
On the other end of that, if you're a Dustin Poirier fan, do we really want to see that? Do we really want to see this man kill a 3rd legend potentially? He knocks out Alexander Volkanovski, knocks out Max Holloway, goes and knocks out Dustin Poirier too. Like, he can't keep getting away with this. Give him Islam. Give it for the 155 title.
Also, I've never specifically asked him this, and I don't know if anyone else has, but, Arman representing Georgia, I don't know how much he would love to fight an Arman Tsarukyan perhaps for a belt. Let's see.
Here, the argument being made is that historically, champions don't vacate their belts when moving up. Instead, they usually keep their original title while challenging for a 2nd division championship.
Historically, the champ keeps that belt. Dating back to the likes of BJ Penn moving up to 170 at UFC 94, he kept his 55-pound belt. Volkanovski kept his belt. Now, the Conor situation was a little different. He was essentially forced to give it up because they just needed something, but they let him keep it for a very, very long time before taking it away from him. So the point is, he deserves a lot of credit. He moves up and fights Islam, and if it doesn't go his way, and of course it can, I don't know what the odds are, but Islam is that damn good, he's now left beltless. He doesn't have that security blanket, and I think that just ups the stakes going into this fight.
A high-stakes move makes the potential fight even more intense, as Topuria wouldn't have the safety net of his belt. If he wins, he becomes a 2-division champion, but if he loses, he's left with nothing. Dan Hooker seemed to have found an explanation for that. During his interview, the talk show host asked Hooker about his opinion on Topuria moving to the lightweight division and hoping for a title shot. The Hangman replied, "If they were just gonna have him shoot for double champ status, then I don't think they would have stripped him of his title." He admitted that Topuria might have been a bit inactive, but Dana White and co haven't always taken away the champion's titles. Take Alexander Volkanovski, for example. The former featherweight champion fought Makhachev twice, but he never had to relinquish his belt to attain the opportunity. Weighing in on this, Hooker went on, "I think that they just took it off him as a bit of a show of force, just to be like, brother, you fight when we tell you to fight. I think that's more of what's going on. I don't think it's a situation where he's gonna get an instant title shot when he moves up. I wouldn't be surprised if he does get the instant title shot. It's just weird that they took the title. I don't think that they want him to go up. I think it's a show of force from the UFC." Dan Hooker believes the UFC stripped Ilia Topuria as a power move, signaling that fighters compete on the UFC's terms. He suggests the UFC doesn't want Topuria to move up and isn't guaranteeing him an instant title shot at 155 pounds. However, Hooker admits it's possible Topuria still gets a shot despite the UFC's actions. Moreover, there's also a question of whether fans really want to see Dustin Poirier fight Topuria, considering Poirier has already faced many top fighters and suffered tough losses. The idea of Topuria running through legends like Volkanovski, Max Holloway, and possibly Poirier raises concerns. Another angle is whether Arman Tsarukyan, who represents Armenia, would be comfortable fighting Topuria, who has Georgian ties if they ever competed for a belt. What is your opinion on the matchup between Topuria and Makhachev, and are 2 months enough to give Makhachev enough time to prepare for Topuria? Let us know what you think in the debate section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fight breakdowns, updates, and analysis.